Thank you. Wow, thank you very much. Good morning. Roger, I think I'm going to let you travel with me everywhere to do that introduction. My mother would be so proud. Well, I'm going to sit here on this stool, and we're going to have a great day today, but let's get acquainted, okay? I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to tell you my name, and I'm going to ask you what your name is. My name is John. What's your name? We'll try it again. My name is John. What's your name? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We're going to now, that's no more test. One more time. My name is John. What's your name? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I want you to look at your neighbor and say to them, you're going to learn something today. Would you tell them that, huh? I want you to look right back at your neighbor that you just told them they're going to learn something today, and I want you to say this to them, and it's about time. Let's just take a moment to get acquainted. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm doing about 9 different countries throughout Asia, spending a little time in them, and it's so good to be here in Malaysia. In fact, I'm curious, how many of you are from the city of KL right here? Would you raise your hand? Okay, majority. How many of you are not from KL, but you're from Malaysia? Would you raise your hand? Okay, welcome, good. How many of you are not from Malaysia? You're from another country. Would you raise your hand? Oh, that's wonderful. There's a lot of, give them a hand. I don't know, would there be some from Singapore? Okay, some from Indonesia? Some from there? What other countries? Thailand? Any from Thailand? Huh? Okay, good. In fact, tomorrow I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I'm going to go spend some time with the Prime Minister of Thailand tomorrow. Any other countries? Hong Kong. Okay. Where's Hong Kong? I know where I know where Hong Kong is. Who's from Hong Kong? I said, okay, good. Well, it's good to be here with you today. My wife, Margaret, and I have been married for 36 years. We have 2 children. They're both married. We have 4 grandchildren. And that 4 grandchildren, we have Madeline is the oldest. She'll be 5 in September. Then Hannah will be 5 in January. And then we have baby John. He was named after me, and he gets all the inheritance. And then we have little Ella. We got 4 before we had our first grandchild, my wife Margaret looked at me and she said, John, she said, what are the grandchildren going to call us? Because in the States, we usually the grandparents kind of pick names for the grandchildren to call them. And she said, I would like the grandchildren to call me Mimi. And I said, okay. I said, I like that. But she said, I don't want them to call you Pee-Pee. And I agreed with that, too. So they call me Papa John. Papa John is a big pizza company in the United States, so when they think of me, they come over and we give them pizza all the time, too. I'm in my high 50s. I'm 58 now, and I want to just share with you that when you get about this age, you become a philosopher of life. And what I did is I brought with me on a laminated card my philosophy of life, and I'm just going to give it to you in 2 minutes so that you would understand life. So when you leave here today, you can say, oh, it was a great leadership seminar, and I also understand life now, okay? Here we go. On the first day, God created the dog. God said, sit all day by the door of your house and bark at anyone who comes by. I'll give you a lifespan of 20 years. And the dog said, that's too long to be barky. Give me 10 years, and I'll give you back the other 10, and God agreed. On the second day, God created the monkey. God said, entertain people, do monkey tricks, make them laugh. I'll give you a 20-year lifespan. The monkey said, how boring. Monkey tricks for 20 years? I don't think so. The dog gave you back 10, so I'll give you back 10 too, okay? And God agreed. On the third day, God created the cow. He said, you must go to the field with the farmer all day long and suffer under the sun, have calves, give milk to support the farmer, and I will give you a lifespan of 60 years. The cow said, that's kind of a tough life. You want me to live for 60 years. Let me have 20, and I'll give you back the other 40. And God agreed. On the fourth day, God created man. He said, eat, sleep, play, marry, enjoy your life. I'll give you 20 years. Man said, what? Only 20 years? I'll tell you what, I'll take my 20, add the 40 the cow gave you back, the 10 the monkey gave you back, the 10 the dog gave you back. That makes 80, okay? Okay, God said, you've got a deal. So that is why in the first 20 years of our lives, we eat, sleep, play, and enjoy ourselves. You can see it coming, can't you, huh? The next 40 years of our lives, we slave in the sun to support our family. The next 10 years, we do monkey tricks to entertain the grandchildren. And the last 10 years, we sit on the front porch and bark at everybody that goes by. You have just had life explained to you. If I could walk off of this stage and you and I could have a personal conversation, which I would dearly love. And if I were to ask every one of you today, if you want to be successful, I would almost guarantee you that every one of you would raise your hand. In fact, that's why you're here. You want to be better at your business. You want to be better in your family. You want to be better in your community. You want to be successful. In fact, let me ask the question from the stage. How many of you want to be more successful than you are right now? Would you raise your hand? Okay, good. That's 100%. But you say, when I asked you if you wanted to be successful, everybody raised their hand. But if I walked back and I individually talked to you, and I began to ask you to define success, I promise you, in a crowd this size with hundreds and hundreds of people, there would literally be dozens and dozens of different definitions of what success is. Is that not true? In fact, you're seated beside somebody, and I almost would guarantee you, you would have a little bit different definition of what success is than what the person is right beside you. So I would like to open my time together with you to take just a few minutes to define what I think success is. I've spent a lot of time with successful people, and I've studied the subject for over 30 years. I've written on it. In fact, I wrote a book called Your Roadmap for Success. It's a book that basically helps a person, if they want to be successful, have a roadmap, a way to get there. Because success, too often, by many, is thought to be unattainable. It's almost like there's a tremendous gap between where we are and where we want to be, and we seemingly can never close that gap. But I think today, as I teach you about leadership and relationships and those things, I think you're going to very quickly realize that every one of you in this auditorium can be successful. So I want you to look at your neighbor before I share with you what I think success is, and I want you to say to them, you can be a success. Go ahead and tell them. Okay? In fact, look back at them and say to them, and it's about time. I think success is three things. Are you ready to write? I think success, first of all, is knowing my purpose in life. As I have been with and as I have studied successful people, here is what I have discovered. Successful people know what they're to accomplish. It's almost for some like a mission. It's almost for some like a calling. They have a sense of why they're here, what they're supposed to do, what they want to accomplish. It becomes an inner compass for their life. It gives them direction. It gives them purpose. It becomes an anchor in their life. It makes them solid. It makes them secure. It gives them confidence. They're not easily shaken when things around them begin to change, because they really know. In fact, they almost can say with confidence, I was born to do this. In fact, there are two great days in every person's life. The day you're born and the day you discover why. And it's discovering why that makes people be successful. It's the discovering and knowing why you're here and what you're to accomplish and what your strengths are and what your gifts are and what your passion is that really helps people to achieve. Let me put it this way. What would it profit you and me if we spent our entire life climbing the ladder of success? I mean, rung by rung, year in, year out. I mean, we're just paying the price and climbing the ladder of success. What would it profit you and me if we, after spending our entire life, got to the top of the ladder of success, only to discover when we got there that it was leaning against the wrong building? I see it happen all the time. People ask me, they say, John, if knowing my purpose in life is so important, if it's really going to make a difference in my life, how do I discover my purpose? And I always share with them that if they want to discover their purpose in life, they have to find their passion in life. Usually what you and I are passionate about is why we're here. Now, I say usually because I have seen exceptions, but most of the time, if you can do two things, you will begin to find your purpose in life. If you can discover your passion, what you really care about, what you dream about, what you live for, and if you can find your strength zone, what you're good at. Usually, we are designed, we're created to be passionate about what we're good at. That's the sweet spot. Later on today, I'm going to do a lecture that will help us a little bit more in that area, so I don't need to spend a lot of time there right now, except to say to you that when I find successful people, they know their purpose in life. They know what they're doing, and they know they were created to do it. But I know people who know their purpose in life, and they're not successful. So it's more than just knowing your purpose in life. The second thing I believe success is growing. It's not only knowing what my purpose in life is, it's growing to my maximum potential. People that are highly successful get the best out of themselves. They're continually learning. They're continually asking questions. They're especially in the area of their strength zone, or especially in the area of their business. They're constantly doing everything they possibly can to learn and grow. In fact, I commend you, because that's what you're doing today. You came to learn. You came to grow. I promise you by 4:30, 4:45 today, you'll have a workbook filled with notes. You'll have all kind of ideas. You'll have all kind of principles that will help you to be successful. I promise to give you a lot of stuff today. I didn't come to Malaysia just to come to Malaysia. I came to add value to you and to meet some new friends. And so therefore, I promise you by the end of this day, you're going to have all kind of material that's going to help you grow. But a life-changing moment for me was in 1973. I was still in my 20s, and I was having breakfast one morning with a man by the name of Kurt Kampmeyer, and he asked me the question. He said, John, what's your plan for growth? Now, I didn't have a plan for growth. I didn't know I was supposed to. Nobody ever said, John, you need to have a plan for growth. But I was kind of embarrassed because I didn't have one, and I didn't want to tell him I didn't have one, so I began to tell him how hard I worked. And I began to talk to him about my daily schedule, and I just kind of talked to him about all the things I did every day. And I was kind of like a plane circling a field. I was just going around and around and around, trying to come in for a landing. And finally, I ran out of breath and gas, and I landed that plane. And as soon as I stopped talking, he looked at me, and he smiled, and he said, you don't have a plan for growth, do you? And I said, no, I don't. It was then that he told me a statement that changed my life. He said, John, growth is not an automatic process. In other words, we do not automatically grow just because we get up every day. Just because I get up every day and I go to work. Just because I interact with people in business. Just because today I sell things to customers or I have client relationships. That doesn't mean that I'm growing. And activity doesn't mean accomplishment. And when he told me that growth was not an automatic process, that if I was going to grow, I was going to have to do it on purpose, that statement changed my life. Think about it for a moment. The only thing in your life and my life that is automatic after we're born is death. Just hang around long enough. Huh? Just hang around long enough and guess what? We all get to die. It's the only thing automatic. You don't have to do anything to die. Just live. And one day it's over. You see, it's automatic. So when I run into people who don't put forth a concentrated effort to grow, I look at them and I say, Paul Harvey, my friend, one time said, you can tell you're on the road to success. It's uphill all the way. There's effort, there's energy, there's purpose, there's direction, there's resolve. You see, if I could could interact with you one-on-one, one of the questions I would ask you is this question: what is your plan for growth? What are you doing today that's going to get you better tomorrow? You see, most people don't lead their lives. Most people accept their lives. Most people get up in the morning and they don't lead their day. They don't direct their day. They don't prioritize their day. They just basically get up and say, what's going to happen today? I wrote a book a couple of years ago called Today Matters, and basically the book simply says this. The tendency for all of us is to over-exaggerate yesterday. The tendency for all of us is to look at yesterday and think that it was better than it was. In the States, we have an expression. You probably don't have it. Maybe in Malaysia, I don't know. In fact, I'll ask you. You can tell me. Back in the States, when people talk about the past, they have a phrase. They call it, they talk about the good old days. Do you have that? How many of you have heard, is that expression? Do they talk about that in Malaysia, about the good old days? Well, back in the good old days. Well, back at, when I was young in the good old days. Can I tell you something? The good old days weren't that good. Mm-hmm. Our tendency is, the farther we get away from them, the better they look. We over-exaggerate yesterday. Now, I have an advantage on that, and that is I'm 58. And when you get my age, you don't over-exaggerate yesterday because you forget it. The other day, Margaret and I were driving in the car, and she said, John, we're forgetting a lot of things. I said, you're right. We really are, babe. I said, what are we going to do about it? Well, she said, I have a plan. I said, what's your plan? She said, you remember who we are, and I'll remember where we're going. And it's helping. And when I talk about over-exaggerating yesterday, I'm not only talking about over-exaggerating the good side, I'm talking about over-exaggerating the bad side. We just over-exaggerate yesterday. We look back at things that happened yesterday, the bad things. Again, this is an expression in the States. This may not be in Malaysia. But when we look in the past and something that just really was a bad time for us, the phrase we use in the States is we look at that past and we think about that experience and we say, I'll never do that again. We over-exaggerate yesterday. I would suggest that you have a sign in your office like a sign that I have in my office in the States. It's a very simple sign. It helps me keep perspective. The sign reads, yesterday ended last night. Get over it. Get over it. Yesterday ended last night. Now here's what I've discovered. We not only over-exaggerate yesterday, we overestimate tomorrow. We look at tomorrow and think it's going to be bigger and better, or that we're going to be able to do more things than we do today. That's why we put off things until tomorrow. Now, maybe that's something we just do in the States. Maybe they don't do it. But one of the big problems in the States is people procrastinate. That doesn't happen here, does it? I didn't think that was, hello, they do that. You run from them, huh? You run from it. You just say it's not going to happen. Let me do it if you don't mind. Okay. Procrastination in the States, we just put off, and we just put off. We say, well, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that next week. If we had to do everything tomorrow, we put off till tomorrow, we'd be in trouble. We over-exaggerate yesterday. We overestimate tomorrow. Hang on. And we underestimate today. We underestimate what we can accomplish today. You see, we think that success is an event. We think that success is a time and a place and a destination. In fact, I know a lot of people who have what I call destination disease. They think, well, if I could just get that job, or if I could have that corner office, or if I could just make that much money, or if I could just know that person, or if I could just move to that place. And they're always chasing success, thinking that it's somewhere, at some place, at some time. And they think that success is an event. It's not an event at all. It never has been. It never will be. People come to my events. Many of you perhaps came today and you said, oh my goodness, I can hardly wait. We're going to have a leadership development day with C.Maxwell, and I am going to learn to lead, and I'm going to fill up my workbook, and I'm going to go back to that bookstore somewhere, and I'm going to get me some books, and I'm going to get me some CDs, and I'm going to walk out of here, and I are a leader. No, not really. You're just a person who has less money at the end of the day than you had at the beginning. Boy, if I could just read that one book, if I could just listen to that one CD. By the way, let me say something. When you get the resources, whether they're CDs or my books or whatever they are, here's a thought. This is just a suggestion. If you get the book Winning with People, here's a thought. Read it. As an author, I never ask people if they read my book. I just ask them if they have it. I was at a CEO's office a couple of years ago, and he had to leave for about a 5-minute appointment. So while I was in his office, I looked up on his bookshelf, and I've written over 40 books, and it looked like at least half of my books were on his bookshelf. And I got kind of excited, and I thought, well, you know what? He's out of the office for 5 minutes. I think I'll pull a few of the books off the bookshelf, and I'll get my pen out, and I'll just sign them to him. That'd be a nice thing to do. So I pulled the first book off the bookshelf, and I opened it, and when I opened it, I thought, I don't think this has ever been read. And sure enough, it hadn't been read. So I got in the front, and I put his name there. I put these words, please read me. And I closed it up and put it on the bookshelf, and I got the second book off, and I thought, I don't think he's read this one either. So I put it again, signed the same, please read me. And I pulled off the third one, and it hadn't been read. Well, this time I'm getting desperate, so I put his name, and I put, please read me. When you do, call me. And I put my phone number. He's never called. I don't think he's ever read a book. Now, some people, they just buy these things, and they think if they buy them, it gets better. It's kind of like, well, I haven't read the book. No, Winning with People, but, every once in a while I rub up against it, Oh, I'm getting better. Yeah. Woo, my relationships are getting good. No. You see, you've got to put forth effort to grow. In fact, here's a statement for you. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. And I commend you for coming today, but if you think that today's going to make you a success or today's going to make you a leader, you're going to be sadly disappointed. I'm not that good and you're not that good. Success is not in a moment or a time or a destination or an event. In fact, here's the statement for you. Are you ready? The secret of your success is determined by your daily